Shalawama, Shalawama, I'm Dr. Yasapa. I'm back. I want to first apologize. I've been absent. I've been really sick, really sick. I had, wow, I'm literally just even able to talk. But anyway, I'm back. Uh, I'm not fully yet recovered, but I'm going to do the best I can with this live stream. I can't even remember how many days I've been away. But if anybody has missed me, I want to say thank you for caring enough and being interested in me enough to miss me. And then those of you who have contacted me and asked me how I'm doing, I really appreciate that. You know, it means a lot when you get sick or when something happens and people follow up with you or they try to reach you to see what's going on with you to see if you're okay. It kind of shows you who your friends are. But that's nothing that nobody knows, doesn't know. But anyway, let's get started. Uh, as usual, thanks everyone for subscribing to the 101 Ancient Ivory course. I appreciate that. It's the beginning of a very strong, positive, and magnetic change in your life, not just your everyday life. I'm talking about all aspects of your being. That would include your joy, your happiness, your health, and your finances. You cannot talk about life today outside of the context of finances. It's just an impossibility. You don't believe me? Go out anywhere outside, look around, and you'll see homeless people. All right? And that misery could easily, for many of them, probably most of them, or if not all of them, could easily be solved with just a little money. And I'm here to show y'all, to tell you, to show you, to help you use your reasoning mind to demonstrate to you that religion, I don't care what religion it is, all right? We just happen to be dealing with Christianity because this is astrotheology that we're dealing with, right? All of it is toxic and it's all designed to keep you in poverty, to keep you in a dependency state, all right? That is if you are a practitioner, a follower, okay? If you're the preacher, priest, pastor, what have you, you're going to have money if you are willing to lie and manipulate the people. All right. But it is a rigged system for you to be impoverished and for you to always be in a needy state. All right. So we're going to get into that in this lesson. But by the way, let me finish my thank yous. All right. So thanks everybody who has again subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ivory course. Also who has been supporting our promotion for the 911 Ivory Rescue book. So a big thanks and a big shout out to everybody who has done that. And I cannot, I should have said these people first. Those people who have made cash donations and investments in me and in Zion Law School. I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for trusting and believing in me um, and wanting to help me do the work uh, that I have been assigned to do. All right. Some people get offended when I talk like that, but it is what it is. I'm producing. What are you doing if you don't like it? Right? What are you doing? What have you done other than talk and be destructive? All right. I've been very productive. You can look in the description area of the video. You can see many of the books that I've written on Ivory You can look at my volume. Actually, you know what? Most of the videos that I have are private. I think I have almost 700, if not more than 700 videos, but you'll only see 600, 200 and something videos that are public. All right. Um, the content that I provide, y'all, you have to come to the class on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to get that content. All right. It's not for the public. Um, but I think people who have been around me for years know that I've been sharing a little bit more with the public. Um, but I'm still not sharing things publicly. I don't, it's just not who I am. All right. If you want to know, come to class. And then that way it keeps trouble down, right? It keeps the trouble down. But since I've been doing astrotheology, I mean, maybe this is a non-issue, right? Because anyway, that's a whole nother story. So I got those people who have given a cash donate, a cash a cash app donation or a PayPal donation. Thank you very much. Um, it's needed, much needed. Uh, all of this stuff takes money to do, but y'all know what? Beyond the money, it takes energy and effort. I'll tell y'all what I do at Zion Law School, in the classroom and in these live streams. I am providing you with unique, rare, highly valuable information, right? And I'm not just talking and giving my opinion and saying funny stuff. There's a time and a place for that, right? But that's not what I do here. So what I do takes effort, it takes energy, it takes work, all right? There's many kinds of work that I have to put into this in order to be able to be prepared and give you this information. Whereas other YouTube channels, I don't know who's listening, what your experience is with this topic, etc. But what I can tell you is that I'm not just here talking. I'm not just here giving you an opinion, and I'm not just reading something to you. All right, y'all should understand. Just because somebody reads something does not mean they understand it. Just because someone reads some excerpts out of a book, and you see this all over YouTube, does not mean they understand it. Understanding something means absolutely nothing. Unless, of course, you're in school, let's say high school, or maybe even a bachelor. You're working on your bachelor's degree. If you, excuse me, if you understand, you can answer some test questions, right? You can, in other words, you can regurgitate. But where is your analysis? That's the issue. Your analysis. Okay. Anybody, I mean, I can get a child who's been taught to read, let's say a 5-year-old, right? Or even a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and they can come to the same conclusions after reading something. If that child has been taught how to read, not at the 5th grade level, but I'm talking about that child has parents who really, really takes time and teaches them the skill of reading, okay? But what that child may not have, or most 5, 7-year-olds don't have, they don't have the same analytical ability, let's say, as a full-grown man or woman. Why? Because their brain has not matured, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that the analytical skill is what's important, not being able to, not reading something, okay? Or at best, reading it and you understand it and you can repeat what was said in the paragraph. That's not enough at this level. At this level, you must have proficient analytical skills, right? And I would even say outstanding, because proficient is too low expectation. Expectation should be high. You should have, if you don't have, you should be developing your analytical skills, okay? But anyway, that's another story. All right, but that's what I do here. I give you analysis, all right? I give you analysis. I read, I explain what's going on, and when I give you my thoughts on it, I'm giving you my analysis, right, based upon my experience. It's a big difference between analysis and just reading something and regurgitating, and then, a year, 2 years later, you find out that the person who read it didn't have a clue what they were talking about, right? They just found the book. Oh, the title is interesting. Looked at some pictures. They probably have never even read the whole book. So you have to be careful who you're dealing with. But when you come to Zion Law School, you will get a solid education. And I can assure you of that. You'll get a solid education, all right? Not just talk and entertainment, but that has its place. All right, so now let's get into this, y'all. So we are in the Devil's Pulpit. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video, so go ahead and download it, all right? So this is a call-in. If y'all want to call in, the phone number is 530-554-9419. This is going to be an easy discussion. Well, maybe not easy, but we don't have a lot of stuff to visualize, all right? Let me show something on the screen. Let me see. I want to show. Yeah. So while I talk, y'all, I'm going to show some of my products while I talk, all right? Because I don't have anything. We don't need to look at any constellations today, all right? So this is going to be pure discussion, all right, y'all? This is going to be a pure discussion. So this is the chapter in the Devil's Pulpit called the Unjust Judge. The Unjust Judge, okay? Or the Unrighteous Judge. I remember when I was in religion I was in, they called it the Unrighteous Judge. So here we go, y'all. Here we go. This is page 8. Well, let me repeat that. This is page 113. Page 113. This sermon was given in 1831, y'all. The scripture cited here, the scripture cited is Luke chapter 18, verse 1. So let me go ahead and read this scripture, all right? Okay, so here we are. This is going to be a really, really good discussion. This is a discussion that everybody can participate in. So y'all call in, because there's nothing complex about this discussion. Everybody can relate to it and participate. So here we go. Luke chapter 18, verse 1. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not to faint, saying, there was in a city a judge which feared not, capital G-O-D, neither regarded men. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said unto himself, though I fear not, capital G-O-D, nor regard men, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continually coming she shall weary me. All right, so what do we see in this? The author brings to our attention, now you have to make your own decision, all right? Remember, before we get started, ask critical questions. Critical questions are doubtful questions, okay? Depending on whether or not your answer is positive or negative, that's the answer to the critical question. Accepted or rejected, okay? But you have to make those decisions for yourself. All right, scholar, that's your decision. Nobody else's, yours. So let's get into this. Be prepared to ask your critical questions and be prepared to do your own analysis. All right. And let's work toward breaking the God spell right now. Break the God spell. Here we go. What does the New Testament mean? Or what did the Christ figure mean when he said this parable about the unjust or unrighteous judge? And then what is a parable? Well, in Christianity, we learned that a parable is a story, right? A metaphor that's not true, but it's given so that it makes it easy for people of all walks of life to understand what the Christ figure in this case was communicating. So in other words, the parable makes the moral of the story more easy to comprehend, regardless of what country you're from, how old you are, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what the religious leaders have told us what a parable is. Now, note that that is not what it says in the Bible. Okay, that definition is not in the New Testament and it's not in the Old Testament. All right, it is something that the priestcraft, that's right, the black priesthood, the dark priesthood made up. Okay, so we're going to put this to the test to see if they gave us an honest definition. And if they have not given us an honest definition, you must convict them. You must convict them and you must not acquit. You must not acquit. Now, if we find that the definition is honest and it agrees with the New Testament, then you have to, what? Acquit. You have to say, okay, well, what they said was right. We can't charge them with anything, right? But if they lied, you've got to charge them and you've got to convict them. All right. So now let's get into it. All right. So we are on page 113. All right. So that's the case of the unjust judge. Now there's another case of the unjust steward. Okay. The unjust steward. Okay. So we're dealing with two situations. We have a judge. So who does a judge represent in society? The judges are the elite, right? The aristocrats. Okay. And remember, in this story about the judge, what did the judge do? He did not care about whether the woman, let me repeat that. He didn't care to hear the case, right? Remember in the verse we just read, he didn't say anything about hearing the case. He didn't care who the other person was and whether this woman had a real case against her adversary. He didn't even hear it. There was no trial. What did he say? He just said, you know what? I'm going to do what this woman wants me to do without having a trial. So can you imagine that? Imagine, let's say women. Imagine a woman has a grudge against you, right? Maybe she's jealous of you for whatever reason. She's jealous of you. Or maybe she wants your man. Okay, so she goes to the judge, makes up a lie on you. Okay, she says, okay, well, this person, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. You know, I want revenge. Avenge me of my enemy. And then the judge turn around and then haul you off to jail without even a trial. Okay? Without a trial. So now you're in jail, this woman going after your man, probably laying up in your house in your bed. Right? You're laying up in jail, cold. Excuse me. Nothing to eat, miserable, and she laying up in your bed, eating out of your refrigerator, drinking your red wine, drinking your white wine, drinking your coffee, laying up with your man, and there was no trial. And the judge did it only because the woman was bothering him. He wanted to have peace of mind. So he threw you in jail so he could have peace of mind. No consideration of the facts of the case or whether, he's just concerned about himself and how he feels. Let me get rid of this woman and you wind up in jail. All right. So this is what the author is bringing to our attention when you read the verses, right? There's no justice. The unjust judge didn't even care to hear the case, and he went out and he avenged the woman's adversary. Okay, that is not justice. That is not righteousness. In fact, that's wicked. What that judge did was wicked, right? He was wicked. But the gospel sets that out as the example, right, of morality. Okay, now let's go to the unjust steward or the unrighteous steward. This guy cheats his master. In other words, he cheats his boss, right? He cheats his boss, and then he's rewarded for it. Let me see if I can find the scripture, y'all. He cheats his boss and he gets rewarded for it. Let's see. Page 114. The unjust steward robbed his master, and the capital LORD commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely. All right. In other words, what's the morality behind that? What's the morality? And y'all can get all the details by reading this yourself. Here's the problem with it. The moral message with this unjust steward or the employee is that it's okay to rob, cheat, and steal. It's okay to do it as long as you do it in a way that's clever. Rob, steal, and chill, and but do it cleverly. Do it cleverly, right? And then if you get caught, at least people will say, well, wow, he was clever about it. But now what does that mean? At least people would say, wow, he was clever about it. Let me put these things into context to you. All right. So you have the corporate elite, the captains of industry, right? And then you have who? You have the lawyers, the judges, the medical doctors, all of these people, okay? You have these people. These are the people who are usually running the world. They're running the corporations and they're running government, right? So what's the message? These people are in the position of the unjust judge. They don't give a damn about you, right? You come into a courtroom, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about how the judge feels. He's going to do or she's going to do whatever makes them comfortable. No regard to justice. So how do we see this? You see this played out in statutory law. See, they've removed common law, and now everything is statutory law, right? There's no way in the world you can know what's a crime or not unless you're a legal expert, okay? Unless you've studied statutory law. Even a lawyer is not going to know if someone broke the law outside of where he's specializing. And in a lot of cases, probably in most cases, let's say like environmental law and other things like that, they're not going to know whether somebody broke the law until they read the statutes. So what is that telling you? is telling you that it has no regard for justice. And then the judge can do whatever they want to do. Clerk of courts, they do whatever. When you go into one of these venues, they want you to treat them like they're some kind of God, right? They have it backwards. It's supposed to be they are the servant, right? They're the public servant, but they want you to go in there and you be the servant, and then they're the master, and then they have a problem if you don't. Y'all see this? This is Christian morality, okay? That's where that attitude comes from, according to the author. On the other hand, the employer, the steward, here's what's happening with the steward. Hold on. Let me check to make sure I have a lie. I forgot. Let me make sure we have sound, y'all. Give me one second. So with the employee, it plays out this way. That's how it plays out with the employee. They want to get over, right? All right, where we got sound. So the employee wants to get over. The employee wants to get over. So he's gonna not do what you pay him to do, slack off on the job, half do things, right? And try to cover it up. Everybody knows how it goes at work, okay? And then expect to be paid a day's wages when they did not give an honest day's work. In more extreme cases, these people, now I've seen this with my own eyes before. There are people who steal. They plan to steal. And then they feel justified about it, right? Because they say, well, they're not getting paid enough or they're overworked. So this is Christian morality, according to the author. This is what those verses promote. And that's why you see the behavior of workers in Christian countries the way it is today. And the behavior of politicians who just don't give a damn about the people, right? They don't give a damn about you. Like that guy George Garland said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. Okay, it's all about the politicians. They come around during elections offering this, giving that, right? And then after that, you don't see them. They lie, they cheat, they steal, and then nobody goes to prison. Okay, you see this all throughout Christian countries, and that's the author's point. The author is saying that the Gospels have a message of poor morals. Okay, the Gospels promote poor morality. Now, I know a lot of people take issue with this. Okay, a lot of people take issue with this, but the author makes a good point. You have to accept that these are parables in order to not come to the conclusion, this is my opinion, in order to not come to the same conclusion that the author came to, you have to accept that the priest's definition of a parable is what a parable is, and that these are in fact truly parables. Maybe they were not parables. Okay, maybe they have been represented as parables, but originally they were not. How do you know? Okay, so now the author shows us how he knows and why he came to the conclusion that he came to, that these are not parables. But we're going to get to that a little bit later, okay? I want to go through some other stuff that I think is instructive. So if you look on page 100, excuse me, 115, it says here, the author makes this point. The author says that these gospel stories, these parables crumble when you start to ask critical questions. So these are simple. This is page 115. Let me read through some of these. First, it says here, quote, and he spake a parable to them, end quote. Who spake to whom? Where? When? How? And what is a parable? Okay, this is page 115. Quote, a parable to this end that men ought always to pray and not to faint, end quote. And what's the use of always praying? And what's to make men faint when they leave off from praying? Now, how many people have actually asked those questions before? Think about it in your life. Have you ever asked these questions? Let me repeat it. And he spake a parable to them. So who spoke to whom? Where and when, how, and what is a parable? Right? And why do you always need to pray? And why would men become faint if they stop praying? Y'all see that? Okay. Everybody see that? These are excellent questions. Excellent questions, okay? All right, so there's something else I want to bring to your attention, okay? So y'all keep in mind, this is not for entertainment. This is for education. And to the extent that some entertainment can be gotten out of it, that's fine. But when you are education becomes fun when you start to appreciate the education, right? That's also entertaining. Learning is more entertaining than comedy. Trust me on that. All right, trust me. And you'll meet, if you're a man, you can make more friends with women who appreciate an intelligent man. Trust me on that. All right. So let's continue. Sorry, y'all. I'm doing the best that I can here, given the situation. All right. Okay. So let me look at my notes. Okay. So let's continue. All right. So we already covered this. I covered a lot of this already. Oh, okay. So let's move on. So who is the Son of Man? That's it. Who is the Son of Man? Okay. So now let's go and look at, as a matter of fact, let me show this. I'm at the point where I want to show some things so that you will see where this is coming from. All right. So let me show these things. Let me pull the PDF up. All right. So the fun thing about what we do with astrotheology is that it's almost always different from what we learn. Okay, so these thoughts may seem like blaspheme. They may seem like blaspheme to Christians, but it's really not. All right, you were given a brain to think. We're going to deal with that too in this chapter. You were given a brain to think, and it's supposed to always think, not supposed to turn off ever. Excuse me. Not supposed to turn your mind off ever, under any circumstances. All right. Lest you be robbed. Okay, and I do mean robbed of your possessions, your liberty, your freedom, and everything else. And if you don't believe that, Well, that's because you're incompetent. You don't know. You don't know no better. That's the only way I can. That's the only thing I can say about that. All right. So now let me share the screen, okay, y'all, so y'all can see this. This is something that you need to see before we get into it, okay? So this is the spooky stuff, right? Y'all, this is the time for y'all to get scared now. All you spooked out Christians, you better run now. Okay? This is not for you if you're spooky. All right? So we're gonna start right here. Let me see. That page 116? Yeah. All right. Now I want to start a little bit higher. So I want y'all to see this for yourself, what the author is bringing to our attention. This is on page 116. So we got to start somewhere up here, all right, where the highlight is. So here we go. Neither could it have been delivered or devised before the times of the general prevalence of that most wicked notion of the election and reprobation, since its whole argument is the argument de fortiori, that capital God would avenge his own elect, and that without any consideration of the justice of their cause, but merely because they were his elect, as our judges of the present day, whose characters are bound by these evangelical examples, would convict an infidel, not because they had any evidence of guilt against him, not because they had any argument to show that he hasn't, or show that, in other words, not that he had done something wrong. Let me skip down. But they would convict him merely because he's an infidel. All right, so that should be clearly wrong, right? Just don't convict somebody just because of who they are, okay? Just because he disagrees with you, right? That's no reason to convict someone. That's not justice. All right, so now let's go to the next paragraph. But the point here in this paragraph, what we just read here, the point is that this is the value system that the gospel set out, and the gospel, the value system was instilled or is instilled from birth. From birth. So these young children growing up in the church, they eventually become what? Political office holders, medical doctors, corporate leaders, educators, right? So their minds have been entrained into this, these bad morals promoted in Christianity. That's the point the author is trying to make here. So now let's continue. So you have to remember, I'm not here to insult anybody. I'm conveying the information in the book. All right. A further indication of time is betrayed to us in that awkward drop stitch quote. Nevertheless, notice this, y'all. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith upon the earth, end quote. Let me repeat that. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith upon the earth. Notice the next line. In admission, as clear as day, that whoever the Son of Man was, he was not then upon the earth. Did y'all get that? In admission, as clear as the day, that whoever the Son of Man was, he was not then upon the earth, and that consequently the speaker was JC, the Christ figure. The speaker in the text could not be the Son of Man. Y'all got that? Okay? Everybody got that? Now, that's not the way we were taught in Christianity, is it? No, they teach you that JC, the Christ figure, is the Son of Man. And of course, JC, the Christ figure, is speaking. But when you look at this text more closely, you'll see that the Son of Man is not JC, the Christ figure. And you know who else makes this point? Uh, there's a video called, there's a video called, what is it called? Caesar's Messiah. Yeah, the video, the documentary Caesar's Messiah, where that author shows that the Son of Man was actually one of the Roman, I think it was a Roman general. I don't remember. It's been years since I watched that. But y'all know what I'm talking about. But he also makes this same point, okay? The Son of Man was not JC, the Christ figure, but he was that Roman leader. And there was the Roman leader or military man who came back in 70 CE, and all of that stuff, right? But I've shown that that's all garbage. I've shown that the Gospels are all garbage. Go back and watch the video that I did called All Abrahamic Religions Are a Hoax. Okay, it's one of them I did with Sonetta, another one I did with Dr. G. The one I did with Sonetta is more detailed, okay, because I wasn't interrupted as much as I was when I did it with Dr. G. So that video is on the my homepage on this YouTube channel. So go back and watch that. But anyway, be that as it may, that's the point. But what is the sign of the Son of Man coming? What is the sign of the Son of Man coming? Now, I have not forgotten we need to cover what a parable is according to the Bible, right? According to the New Testament, rather. I haven't forgotten that. But first, let's deal with this issue about the Son of Man. Okay, so we can show some astrotheology. And why? Because this is astrotheology, right? This is an astrotheology book. The New Testament is astrotheology. All right. So now let's continue. The author makes this really, really important point, and I think most people can relate to this. I know I was once a victim of this. I was definitely once a victim of this. All right. So here we are. The author says that Christianity has to use ignorance, threat, fear, and guilt to keep you hooked into believing it. Right? Christianity uses fear and guilt to keep you believing. Okay, in other words, you get stupid. They keep you dumb and make you more dumb by using fear. And here it is. He that believeth not shall be damned. Y'all see that? Okay. He that believeth not shall be damned. Okay, so in other words, if you don't believe what the Gospels tell you, you're going to burn in hell forever. All right? Or if you're in one of the religions who don't teach hell, you're going to die and never be resurrected. You'll be dead forever. There's no resurrecting you. Your life is done. Right? You're a dead man walking. If you don't believe, you're a dead man walking. You have no hope, no future. Do you understand what that does to the psyche of a grown man, of a grown woman, let alone a child? Let alone a child, right? To grow up believing this. And this is one of the things that I regret in my life, because I led my little ones into religion. Okay, my my seed, my boy and my girl, I led them into religion, and I regret that. I really wish I could turn back time, but of course I can't. You know, I hope that they get out. You know, I really hope that they get out. Um, but anyway, this is psychological warfare at its highest level, y'all. At its highest level. This is psychological warfare at its highest level. And if you cannot see that, then that's an indication that you are deeply, deeply under the trance. You've been charmed and you're deep into it. All right? All right, so now let's move on. Okay? So now add, along with the the injustice, the selfish meism, the only caring about yourself, no interest in justice. Also, people who work planning, plotting to steal, plotting to create confusion and harm other people. I'm talking about the employee side now, right? Add into that the fear factor of being damned if you don't accept Christianity. All right, so you see the type of psychological problems people can develop from Christianity. Y'all see that? All right. Just think about a child. Think about a child having to carry this burden and be afraid of this. All right, so now let's continue. So the Son of Man is going to come when? On the clouds, right? The Son of Man is going to come on the clouds. Okay? So the Son of Man is going to come on the clouds. That answers the question, where? Where is the Son of Man going to come from? Well, he's going to come from the clouds of the heavens, right? He's going to come from the clouds of the heavens. Next question is when? When is the Son of Man going to come? The answer to that question is the Son of Man is going to come immediately after the days shall have been shortened, right? Immediately after the days shall have been shortened, right? And then what else? There's more to it. There's more to it. So I'm going to read from page. I want y'all to see this for yourself. So there's no questions about it, all right? So we're going to start around here, the highlight. It says Matthew chapter 23. Okay, so let me read that verse. Quote, "But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another one. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come." Okay? Now that's Matthew chapter 10, verse 23. Okay? Notice this, y'all. Here again, you have the speaker Christ speaking of another as contradistinguished from himself. Y'all got that? Christ is speaking of the Son of Man as somebody who is different than himself. In other words, Christ is saying this Son of Man is not him. Right? Let's continue. Let's let the author speak for himself. Here again, you have the speaker who is JC, the Christ figure, speaking of another man or another person, somebody else, as contradistinguished from himself, who was not then come, right? But who was to come, right? The Son of Man was not on earth. The Son of Man was to come to earth. But JC, the Christ figure, was already on earth, all right? That's what's being said here in a roundabout way, all right? But who was to come before the saints should have gone over the cities of Israel. Well, now, y'all should know what saints are, right? That's a key word, that's a key astrological term. The saints, the stars, all right, before the saints should have come over the cities of Israel. So when you see cities and you see Israel, you should be thinking what? Astronomy or astrology. You should be thinking constellations, the zodiac. Very good. Gone over the cities, gone over them, sirs. Ye shall not have finished them, end quote. And who and what were these who were to flee from city to city, but not finish all the cities before the coming of the Son of Man? And what sort of cities were they, which these persecuted saints were to go over, but so never to go beyond them, never to be out of one or the other of these cities? See, he's asking really, really good questions, right? These are very, very good critical questions. Now, let's continue. Or as again, this mystical astrologer, he's talking about JC, the Christ figure. Again, this mystical astrologer said to Nicodemus, how y'all feel about that? JC, the Christ figure, is a mystical astrologer. Well, he's referring to astrology, isn't he? And astronomy, JC himself. How many of y'all knew that? Quote, no man has ascended up into heaven. So we're down here, y'all. No man has ascended up into heaven, but he that has come down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. Now, again, JC, the Christ figure, is on earth. The Son of Man is in heaven. So the author is making the point, are we to believe as intelligent people that the Son of Man and JC are the same people? They're in one person in two places at the same time? That's the author's point. It's an impossibility. All right, let's see you be in London and San Francisco at the same time. Okay, it's an impossibility. Okay, so now, what else about this? What else about it? Well, let's continue. Remember, all of this has to do with these parables, right? All of this has to do, what we're building up to is whether these stories are actually parables or something else, or are they real? Did the priestcraft, your reverends, etc., lie to you and tell you that these are parables when they're in fact not parables? Or did they lie to you and give you a different or an untrue meaning of what a parable is? A meaning that would suit their desire and aim to oppress you and control you and take your money, okay? As opposed to liberate you and make you, or help you to be free and wealthy. Let's continue. So we still have to do with the sign. We got to deal with the sign of the Son of Man still. We talked about when the Son of Man was coming, where he would come from. Now let's deal with the sign. All right? Let's deal with the sign. And this part I like, because now we're getting into astrotheology. All right. Now this was an opportunity where I could have brought in some images, but I don't feel well, y'all. I really don't feel well to be able to do all of that. But I wanted to get on here and provide something for you. I feel a responsibility and an obligation to do what I said I would do to bring this to completion. So here we go, page 118. But we have a further clue to this mystery, which unravels it beyond the mistake of ignorance itself. The epithet, the Son of Man, is found accompanied with the term absolutely and literally defining what was meant by the Son of Man. Okay, so we're getting close now, right? It is, quote, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, end quote. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. Let me repeat it. The epithet, the Son of Man, is found accompanied with a term absolutely. Absolutely means absolutely. And literally defining what was meant by the Son of Man. So our answer is coming, right? Absolutely and literally. It is, no, it is what? Let me highlight this for y'all. See, this is a great way to do this, y'all, because it removes arguments and debates, right? There's no need for an argument or a debate because it's right here. You can either accept the evidence or you reject it, right? Quote, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. Now there are but 12 signs in heaven. There you go. There you go. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. The sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Now there are but 12 signs in heaven. Excuse me, y'all. Now there are but 12 signs in heaven, and this sign of the Son of Man is further defined as coming immediately after the end of the world. Then, of course, it could have come nowhere else but at the beginning of the world, right? The end of the world is the beginning of the new world. So there are what? 12 signs. What are these 12 signs? That is the 12 zodiac signs. All right. So according to the author, Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 is referencing the 12 zodiac signs. And the sign of the Son of Man, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Y'all got that? The only signs in heaven are the zodiac signs. Now, Christians will tell you, oh, he's talking about prophecies. He's talking about end time prophecy. Well, I suggest y'all go back and research the origin of end time prophecy. All right, you go back and research the origin of end time prophecy, and you see who let these prophecies. You're going to see straight hybrids. All right, and church people. You're going to see church people with these end time prophecies. Okay, so keep your head on straight. Okay, keep your head on straight, and don't go for the humble. Don't go for the okie doke. Right? Don't get crossed over. Excuse me. Don't get crossed over. All right? Don't get crossed over. Let's go down a couple more paragraphs. Let's start right here. Y'all. This should give you a new way of thinking about this text, the signs of the Son of Man. Let me tell y'all, when I was involved in, let's continue with this because this is gonna get interesting. Okay, so quote, the days come when you shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. That's Luke chapter 17. Luke chapter 17. Luke chapter 17. The day, quote, the days will come when you shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and shall not see it. Luke chapter 17. Okay, now here we go, y'all. Here we go. Now we're getting into the really, really good stuff. I love this. I really love it. Regardless of whether you like astrotheology or not, you have to admit that it causes you to think. It stimulates thinking, right? It stimulates thinking. Now let's continue. Let's read. Let's read. But what is more, the self-same Son of Man seems to have been as well known under the Old Testament as under the New. As the prophet Daniel saw him, now we got Daniel. We got Daniel, okay? We got Daniel. As the prophet Daniel saw him, as the prophet Daniel saw the Son of Man, when and where, and exactly as you may, every one of you see him yourselves. So Daniel saw him the same way you see him. Okay? Quote, in the visions of the night, end quote. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel saw the Son of Man in the visions of the night. Attend ye then to the visions of the night. That is, study astronomy. What do you see at night? What do you see at night? It's dark. Can't see anything but what? You see the moon and you see the stars. Otherwise, it's pitch black. Ain't nothing else to see in the visions of the night. Astronomy, astrology. Y'all see that? Let's continue. Attend ye then to the visions of the night, that is, study astronomy. Look on the immense expanse of the starry heavens, and there you shall see the sign of the Son of Man. That is, the sign Aquarius. The sign, the sign Aquarius. Okay? The sign Aquarius, the sign of January, which you cannot go over the 12 cities of Israel without coming to. In other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? You can't get to all 12 without what? Going past Aquarius, without getting to Aquarius. Simple concept, but they just word it in a complicated way. All right? It reads, let's continue. It says, look on the immense expanse of the starry heavens, and there you shall see the sign of the Son of Man, that is the sign Aquarius, the sign of January, which you cannot go over the 12 cities of Israel without coming to. You can't. You have to come to Aquarius, right? To complete them all, you got to come to Aquarius. Common sense. Which comes immediately after the days have been shortened. So what does he mean by the days have been shortened? Which Aquarius comes immediately after the days have been shortened, which made us desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man. So what are these days of the Son of Man? When they were getting longer again. Let me repeat that. Which made us desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, when they, who are they or what are they? They are days, when the days are getting longer again. So y'all should already know, if you've been watching these live stream presentations, you should already know what he's talking about. You should know what the Son of Man is already right now. Let's continue. Which made us desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, when they are getting longer again, which comes immediately after the end of the world, which ends in December. That's right. December. December. What happens? December is winter. The peak number of nighttime hours occur December 22nd, December 22nd. Okay, that's the time of year where the number of nighttime hours are their greatest. See, the days immediately after the days were shortened. Okay, immediately after the days were shortened. Well, now, when did the days start getting shorter? Sometime around, I don't remember if it's June 25th, June 24th, or June 25th, or if it was July 24th, July 25th. Excuse me. Well, we know that we know that the sun reaches its zenith. I don't remember if it's June 21st. Well, the day, I think it's June 21st. It's either June 21st or July 21st. I'll remember, but it's one of those. But that's when the number of daylight hours are maximum. Through the whole year, that's when it reaches its maximum. And then after that, because it's reached its maximum, what? The number of daylight hours begin to shorten, okay? But in December, on December 21st, 22nd, that's when the day is at its shortest point. Everybody see that? So what comes after these shortened days? Aquarius. You got it. Aquarius. Okay, everybody see that? Easy, right? Aquarius comes immediately after the days were shortened. And then what's happening in winter? By the time you get to December, you're sick and tired of winter already, aren't you? Okay, you want to see spring, and you want to see summer. That's what the author, and that's what those verses are talking about. All right, so let's read it again. Okay. Look on the immense expanse of the starry heavens, and there you shall see the sign of the Son of Man, that is, the sign Aquarius, the sign of January, which you cannot go over the 12 cities, that's the 12 constellations of Israel, without coming to Aquarius, which comes immediately after the days have been shortened. That's winter, right? Which made us desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man when they were getting longer again, which comes immediately after the end of the world, the end of the year, which ends in December, and which opens the new year, i.e. the new heavens and the new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? The new heavens and the new earth, springtime all over again, y'all. Everything growing, right? Remember the equinoxes, righteousness, all of that stuff. Okay, let's continue. See, this is really easy, right? Because the stories repeat themselves, right? The stories repeat themselves. Okay, so now let's continue. And here too, we're here. Okay, and here too have we the meaning of those eternal riddles about eating the flesh. Now, I really enjoyed this part, y'all. I really, really enjoyed this part. Notice this. And here too, we have the meaning of those eternal riddles about eating the flesh and drinking the blood of the Son of Man, which from the Ganges to the Nile, from the Nile to the Thames, through Brahminical, Egyptian, pagan, and Christian superstition was the universal catechesis of language, for a mystery of which the meaning was never any more than the ordinary eating and drinking of the fruits of the earth, which flow to us from the fructifying urn of Aquarius, it being thus a natural and not a supernatural truth that unless we eat the flesh and drink the blood of the Son of Man, we have no life in us. Y'all see that? It is purely astrological. It is purely astrological, or what? Astronomical. Everybody see that? It has nothing to do with eating a man's flesh and drinking a man's blood. It has everything to do with spring, summer, harvest, and eating what? The flesh of fruits and drinking the blood of the grapes, the wine, so on and so forth. Everybody got that? Really easy, right? Really, really easy. But what is a parable? Now we're going to get to it. What is a parable? The author brings to our attention that there are 44 parables in the Gospels. 44 parables in the Gospels. So you'd have to ask yourself, why in the world are there so many parables in the Gospels, right? Why do you need to use so many parables? Okay, now remember, the preachers, the theologians gave us the definition of a parable that says what? And actually, we can look at it down here. Let me pull that up. Excuse me. Let me pull it up. So here is the theological meaning of parables. But parables, our persons, these are the theologians, tell us, are easy and familiar modes of instructions graciously adopted by our blessed Savior in order to convey his divine lessons more clearly to the mind. Isn't that so innocent? Isn't that innocent? Okay, now let's continue reading. And here's the point. Let me blow this up for y'all. And here's the point. Don't get mad, y'all. This is about education. This is not a pissing contest. All right? It's not about who's right and who's wrong. Let me show y'all. Now we saw what the the theologians define parables as being, right? Now let's look at what the Christ figure defines a parable as. Okay? Let's look at what the Christ figure says. The Christ figure says this, quote, "Therefore speak I to them in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear but not understand." Again, J.C. the Christ figure said this about parables, quote, "Therefore speak I to them in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear but not understand." So that's a huge contradiction. The Christ figure said he spoke in parables so that the people would not understand him. But the theologian is saying something which is the exact opposite. What is the theologian saying? Let's read it. Parables are what? Parables are easy and familiar modes of instruction graciously adopted by our blessed Savior in order to convey his divine lessons more clearly to the mind. So now, I'm going to put the question to you. Are they lying? Is this highlighted statement right here a lie? Did the Christ figure say he spoke these parables? Did he say that he spoke these parables so that he could convey these divine lessons more clearly to their mind? Or did he say he spoke in parables so that they wouldn't understand what he said? All right? So clearly they lied to you. Again, they lied to you. All right? That's as clear as day. Clear as day, they lied to you. All right? So let me check what's happening. All right. So if y'all want to call in, the call-in number is on the screen. Okay. So now let's continue. Okay, so I lost my page. 1 second. I want to try. Let me see if I can finish this. I think we might be able to finish this. Yeah, I think we can finish this in maybe 10 minutes, I think. All right. I lost my page. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're on page 120. Give me 1 second. So let me go to page 120. And there's something else I want to share with y'all. I like the way the author reasons, the way he says this. Y'all know when I like the way he says something, I just prefer to read it. So you can get it. You can get it the way he intended. All right, so now let's deal with the character. We're dealing with Christian character and why Christians are so notoriously criminal and so notoriously hypocritical and so notoriously violent liars. Okay, so what do we see this in? We see this in the military, in the wars that these Christian nations have been involved in, right? We see it in what? Hot wars and cold wars. We see it in the hot wars and cold wars. Okay? They'll make an agreement, but they don't keep it. Right? They lie, steal, and chill. Lie, cheat, steal, and kill. And then they always project themselves as being good, honorable people. Okay? Why is this? This is because of value systems, the morality in the Gospels. All right? Now, what else? What else do you see? When you look at legalese, isn't legalese no different than a combination of the unjust judge character and the unjust steward's character, right? Legalese is meant to trick you, right? You go into one of their venues, you don't understand legalese, you're finished as soon as you open your mouth. You know, you're finished, you might go to jail for contempt, okay? All tricky language, cleverly tricky, right? And even when you start to research this stuff, you think you got one book and that's your answers? No. There's another book that explains that book. This is the extent that they have gone to, okay, to oppress you. All right? So being slick, dirty, self-centered, self-righteous, only concerned about themselves. All right, so now let's get a little bit more into this character, okay? This is page 120. Let's get more into this. Let's do some analysis. Let's follow the author's analysis. It reads here, the highlighted part. It says here, for had the gist on it been to hold up, now he's talking about the story. Well, you know what, let's start up here. I'm assuming that nobody read in advance. So let's start up here. At any rate, we have in the case before us two very different and distinct authorities in challenge upon our credence. For first, we have the capital Lord, whoever he was. Y'all ever thought about that? Who is this Lord? Whoever he was, telling us a tale, highly probable in itself, which nothing hinders from being true, and telling it as a truth. While the reporter of the tale, I think here the reporter of the tale would be the theologian, the preacher, while the reporter of the tale obstrudes his impertinent judgment to tell us that it was not true, but a parable. Y'all see that? The priest leaders are saying, oh, this stuff is not true, it's a parable. And whereas the speaker of the parable, if a parable it were, the speaker would have been who? The price figure at that time, right? Has not told us what the end or gist of it was. In other words, the price figure didn't tell you the meaning of the parable. Okay? The price figure never told you the meaning of the parable. It was the religious leaders who told you that it was a parable and then gave you the meanings of the parable. So y'all don't get it twisted, all right? All right? And whereas the speaker, JC the Christ figure, right? Whereas the speaker of the parable, if it were a parable, that means it could have been a true story, right? It could have been a true story. Who knows? Has not told us, JC the Christ figure did not tell us the meaning of the parable. The reporter or the religious leader has taken it upon himself to supply you with the answer that he wants you to have and to give it a moral. Y'all got that? The religious person, the theologian, told you it's a parable and said this is what the parable means, and then they tell you the morality of it. So you got to do your own thinking. You got to do your own thinking. All right? And to give that parable a moral, which may have been the very reverse of the moral intended. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? You're trusting that religious leader, his opinion as to what that, and you're not even aware that it's just his opinion. You're not even aware that it's a doctrine. See, you're not aware that it's a doctrine and that a doctrine is only somebody's opinion. They're teaching, right? You don't know, like the author says. You don't know. For all you know, that religious leader gave you a moral meaning that's the opposite of what the real meaning actually is intended to be. Everybody see that? That should be pretty clear, right? That should be pretty clear, right? Okay, so now let's continue. This is the part I want to get to. Okay, this is the part I want to get to. This is kind of like, for me, the moral of the story. All right? So we won't be much longer now. This is the moral of the story. Let's read. For had the gist on it been, that means the meaning of the parable. Now, had the meaning of the parable been to hold up the character of the unjust judge to our hatred. In other words, you saw that the unjust judge didn't even hear the case. And he brought down the hammer on whoever that lady who was asking for vengeance. He brought down the hammer on her adversary without hearing the case. Without hearing the case. Now, if the meaning of that parable of the unjust judge, okay, or the unjust steward, to hold up the character of the unjust judge to our hatred, in other words, you should have been taught to hate what that judge did. Instead of admire what the woman did, you should have been taught to hate what the judge did because it was immoral and it was unjust. It was everything evil and wicked. It was self-centered, selfish, right? All of that. That should have been something you should have been taught to hate. All right? It says to hold up the character of the unjust judge to our hatred rather than to our respect as the exhibition of the character of a devil. That's right. What that judge did is what a devil would do. Okay? Rather than of what your capital God would do. Okay? Now keep in mind that that unjust judge is representing what? Your capital God. Punish somebody without even hearing a trial. All right? Without even seeing the evidence. Let's continue. And had the moral wanted been just exactly that men who fall under the government of such unjust governors as he not the justice and reasonableness of the people's positions, but act only from caprice and tyranny. Ought not pray always. You got that? Ought not pray always, but to pray no more. Y'all got that? The author is saying that that's the moral. That would have been a healthy, righteous way of looking at this. Don't pray no more. You got these politicians, these judges who are taking advantage of you. They're tyrannical. They're making your life miserable. Stop praying. Get out of religion. And notice what the author says next. Notice what he says next. He says this. He says, but take the power into their own hands. Play the Paris game upon their ruthless oppressors and hurl them from their fortified authority. Would not that have been a good moral, as honorable to the moralists and as instructive to ourselves? In other words, what the author is saying is that when people oppress you, when people are harming you, stop praying and start fighting. Start defending yourself. You have a right to self-defense, any means necessary. But religion has you always praying, always begging, and never getting remedy. Why? Because you're looking for external deity. You've been made into a fool and a coward, a weakling. You're not going to take arms and defend your life and your family's life. Like the author said, what? Y'all remember about the French Revolution, right? How the people said we had enough of this, and they went what? They went and destroyed those people in government who were responsible for their misery. But religion will not allow you to do that. And now, scholars, those of you who are aware of the secret treaty of Verona, now you understand why the political leaders are kissing the Pope's ring, happy and thankful for what the Pope has done for them, which is pacifying the people. The Pope and Christianity's got you praying while you suffer. All right? Break the God spell. Break the God spell. Break the God spell. I hope this is clear. That's on page 120, y'all. That's on page 120. All right? So just a little, I think we can finish within 5 minutes. All right? I think we can finish within 5 minutes. So let's go back. And I wish I wasn't. I wish I was feeling better so I could have gone in more on this. But it is what it is, y'all. I'm doing the best I can. The moral on it is to represent the character of God as that of an unjust judge, restrained by no consideration of justice, equity, mercy, or truth, but chuckling and glorying in avowed injustice and most flagrant wickedness. Quote, now, though I fear not capital God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, because she troubleth me, not giving you justice, or not the administration of justice, but the selfish troubling me, I will avenge her of her adversary. In other words, I'm going to punish this person because this woman keeps troubling me so I can get some personal relief. I'm not going to hear a trial. I'm just going to do what's convenient and expedient for my comfort, lest by her continuing to come, she weary me. Y'all see that? This is the mindset of the Christian deity. That is the mindset of the Christian, capital G-O-D. All right, that's what the author is saying. Now, this is on page 121. Let's go to the next paragraph. There is a capital L-O-R-D, capital G-O-D for you, right? There it is. This explains the attitude of individual Christians, the U.S. Criminal justice system, these so-called what? Democrats and Republicans, they're all morally bankrupt. I don't care what shade or color their skin is. It has nothing to do with skin color. This is the Christian morality. That's why y'all are so bad. Okay, and you looking at the other one talking about they're so bad. It's also you. So break the God spell. All right. And shall we wonder that our GODs and LORDs on earth, with this example of the divine character before them, should act on the same principle and deem it most godlike and divine to be indifferent to the rights or wrongs of the people, and act only in consultation of their own idleness, caprice, or humor, in other words, the administrative state? Y'all see that? You see that? To hide the republic, to hide common law, to deny natural rights, and to replace it with what? With the administrative state. Y'all got that? See what's happening? And everybody knows who did it. We all know who did it. And this is not the first time it was done. They did the same thing in Germany. Y'all go back and do your research. They did the same type of stuff in Germany. All right? And it wasn't just an isolated group of people. No, it was a global conspiracy. Same thing today. All right? Let's go down to the next paragraph. This is the last one that I'm going to read, all right? It has some things that I want to not miss, all right? And by the way, y'all go back and research in your Strong's lexicon, research the Tetragrammaton and its derivatives. Research and look at the meanings that you get, and keep this lesson in mind. All right, keep this lesson in mind and research the meanings of each of the derivatives of the Tetragrammaton. All right. So now let's take a look at this paragraph. I wanna get in here. All right. It reads here, but the moral on it is, quote, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. To pray, as the apostle says, quote, without ceasing, end quote. To keep it up day and night, to wrestle in prayer, to bother the everlasting God out of his everlasting life, not to trust to his goodness, his equity, his wisdom, or any sort of that stuff, but to stick it to him, to give it to him, to write, to tug at him, to sicken him, till at last, in self-defense, the prayer-weary tyrant will start. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Now, a lot of people are offended by this, I'm sure, but think about it. That's the message given with this unjust judge situation, okay? Because you can't add more, you have to take it for what's written there. You cannot add to it and assume this and assume that. You have to look at what's written and leave it at that. Okay, y'all? All right? So let me see, I think that, okay, well, there's one more thing. I don't know how long we've been going now. Okay, yeah. All right, so there's a few more things, but these will be fast, y'all. All right, these will be fast. Okay, so now let's take a look at here. So the old woman, the impertinent widow, only wanted a bit of vengeance. She wanted to pay off an old grudge. All right, she wanted to pay off a grudge. She wanted some vengeance. All right. She wanted to have her spite out against somebody that had displeased her. She only had to pester the Almighty Judge with her everlasting quote, avenge me of my adversary, end quote, and the Almighty, without inquiring what her adversary had done or what he might say in his defense, has him hanged off at hand, to find out perhaps that it was a lie that the woman told him after the execution. Y'all see how stupid that story is? You have to read into it. Make assumptions in order for you to have the belief that it's a good thing, right? Because you haven't thought through it. And I didn't, right? I never thought about that when I was in Christianity. But that's what it is, y'all. That's what it is. And in closing, let's say this, all right? The story about Paul. Christ, he fasted and he suffered and he prayed all night, right? He prayed all night before he was put to death, and he suffered, right? On the stake or on the cross, or when he was hung, whatever your view is, he suffered a painful death. Whereas Paul was a blasphemer, a murderer, a vile murderer, and he didn't suffer, but he got everything. Paul suffered nothing. He fell down, right? He had a change of heart, and then he got everything. So is that fair? Is that justice? Right? I know this is different than what you all have listened to before or heard before, but this is what the author is bringing to our attention on page 119. This is it page 119? Hold on. No, page 123. Yeah, on this page. So go back and read this. This is what the author, so the author is saying that there's no justice in that. Paul gets everything for basically for free. He was the worst sort of person. He was an evildoer, an extremely bad person, but yet he got all the rewards. Whereas Christ was a righteous man, did everything right, didn't harm anybody, walked away from trouble, and he suffered. So isn't it something how in Christian countries, people who are good people, they don't harm anybody, they don't do people wrong, these are the very same people who suffer. This is Christian values. And those people who are murderers, the worst kinds of people, let's say a pedophile, a rapist, a murderer, these kind of people, they go to court and they get leniency often. Or what? They get the best jobs. They get promoted. Ruthless, dirty, rotten, Paul. And then they get promoted. They get everything. This is Christian morality. All right? According to the author, that's on page 123. I'm Dr. Dryasapa from Zion Law School. I'd like to thank everybody for spending their time with me. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to, let me see if there are any comments. If you haven't already subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ivory Act class, go to zionlawschool.org and subscribe. Go to click on course offering. You see it on the screen. And those of you who want to order 911 Ivory Act Rescue, go ahead. You can take a look at it. It's on Amazon. This is the only book you'll order from Amazon, okay, y'all? This is our book we're promoting. This will help you learn the Ivory Act pictographs, the ancient paleo and excuse me, the ancient paleo and late pictographs. All right. So for those of you who want to support me, and I do appreciate your support, you can give us a Cash App donation. I'll put it on the screen here. That's the Cash App, $, Dr. Dryasapa, $, DRYASAPA, $DRYASAPA, $, Dr. Dryasapa. Whew. I'm out of breath, y'all. Let me see what else I got. Anyway, I enjoyed this lesson. Let me tell you why. I enjoyed this lesson because I can relate to it. This lesson answers the question, why do wicked people have all the success? Why do wicked people have all the success? This lesson just answered that question. Y'all see what I'm saying? And I can say this too. Why is that? Because I've been saying this for years and years and years, that the deity the Christians are worshiping, the deities that the Christians are worshiping, is in fact a familiar spirit. It is a demon. That's right. I said it. And in fact, I've done videos on it, right? This YHWH is a demon. All of those deities, when you're involved in the New Testament, I know from personal experience and from my knowledge that you have a bunch of demons around you. And that is why you have conflict, confusion, constant chaos, and nothing good in your life, as my mother used to say. And ain't nothing good gonna happen to you. And y'all know it's true. You've been living your life, okay? The Most High tells us don't bring any power in front of his face. All right? That's in Exodus chapter 20. And what else does he tell us? What else does the Most High tell us? He says, don't bring any powers in my face. What else does he tell us? He tells us that when we start to acknowledge, we worship these powers, these GODs, he's going to do what? Cut us off. Cut us off. Not cut us off 10%, not cut us off 50%, but cut us off 100%. In other words, that means what? You get the full curses. You get it full strength. You get all the curses full strength. Okay? And this is what's happening when you are involved with the New Testament. You have evil spirits in your life. Okay? Now we looked at the Rephaim, etc. several live streams ago. Y'all go back and watch that. Okay? So you have these wicked spirits in your life. When you're involved in the new, as innocent as you may be, believe me, I know I was innocent, trying to do my thing in Christianity for 3+ decades. All right? And nothing changed. It's always the same stuff, and it gets worse. All right? But it's not for me to preach to you and tell you what to do. I'm bringing it to your attention, so if you want to understand why things are so bad, right? You want to understand why things are so bad for the good people. Now you understand. I just showed you why things are so bad. It's because the morality of the Gospels is what you're living. You're just not aware of it. And these deities that you're worshiping, this is how they live. Okay? They themselves are evil and wicked, deceitful, okay, liars, clove-tongued, okay? And you got them in your life and you don't know it. That's why the bad people always do well and the good people always suffer. Okay, so what is this telling you? What is it telling you? It's telling you that when you deal with Christians, you better be very, very careful. All right? Because they will always find a rationale to do you dirty. Okay? If you have an agreement with them, they're going to break the agreement and they're going to come up with a really, really good reason, a really good alibi. Okay? The Most High told me, or so-and-so did this, so I did. So always a justification instead of being honorable. Instead of being honorable and doing what you said you would do and letting it be that. No. They cannot do that, right? Because their value system is not that. Everybody got that? This is why good people always lose in Christian countries. And when you deal with Christian people, our ancestors, we dealt with Christians, right? They made treaties with us, and they broke every last treaty. Okay? Treaty of peace and friendship we have with them. What did they do? They change our status and do what? They try to hide it from us so that we can't use it or intimidate us, right? This is the nature of a Christian because of their morality. because of the deities that they worship. This is the influence. And of course, when you're dealing with hybrids, lying and stealing is their nature. All right. So y'all gotta come to understand that. Okay. And just stop dealing with religion. Get out of religion. That's what I would say. Get out of religion. And that's my uh, advice. If you're able, just let it go. But most people can't let it go, right? Most people cannot let the religion go. And so you will suffer. You'll continue suffering until you get the strength and the courage to let it go. It is what it is, and there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're not able to let it go right now. You just need to get beat up some more, right? And so the more you get beat up, I will eventually see you at Zion Law School. All right, don't be too proud. All right, don't be too proud. Even if it's 3 years from now, if you get tired of taking that stripping, and you come on stumbling in the class, excuse me, you come stumbling in the class looking like you just did 8 rounds and got knocked out. You're still welcome. You are still welcome to come in, and I will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. All right? But it ain't going to be free. Those days are over. I'm not doing things for free anymore. And these things that I've been doing for almost free are about to end. And I'm only going to be taking on people who are serious, committed and serious enough to pay a full tuition. Otherwise, it's not worth my time. I'm not doing it anymore, right? I'm not carrying anybody anymore. But anyway, that's what it is, y'all. And let me just say, Shalom and Islam to all of the Moors. I'm out of breath right now, and I think it's time for me to stop talking because this is getting hard. Y'all see the people are up cleaning up. They got the doors open and everything right now. So they got the doors open. Y'all looking at the book. This is the book we use for our Saturday 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time class. This is our course book, our textbook. Y'all want to order that? You want to support me? Go ahead and order that. This is a phenomenal book. This actually all of these books, the Deuteronomy, all the books that we have are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. There's no doctrine in these books. These books will teach you, well, you'll learn a lot if you study it. Okay, if you come to class, these books will change your life. They will change your life for the better and give you peace of mind where you now may not have any. All right? And I mean that. And I'm not just saying that. You can ask current students, maybe past students. I don't know. Some people get mad at me, right? Because I don't. Some people I have to kick out. Some people, they don't like the things that I do, but I have to maintain control of the classroom. I have to maintain control of Zion Law School. And some people, although they're in an adult's body, they behave like children, and you have to deal with them. And then they go back and they do nasty things, right? Or if you just say no, they get mad. and they go trying to destroy you, your reputation, and everything else. So, but it is what it is. I've been doing this for years now, and I'm tried and I'm proven. So y'all can do what you want to do. I ain't going nowhere. Those of you who want to learn, uh, you buy these books, come to class. Uh, you don't want to come to class, that's on you. I understand some people have busy schedules, but all right, y'all. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Send me a cash app if you like the way I teach, if you like my personality, or or if you just love the work that I'm doing. All right? Send a cash app, $, Dr. Yasapa, $Dryasapa. Send a cash app. Let me know how much you like the work that I do. Let me know the difference that I made in your life, if that's the case. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you all next time. All right. Islam to all of the Moors, all of us, whether you are Yasharala or not. I'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow. All right, hopefully.